Hi guys, Trash Toku here. Let's talk about Ultraman Blazer and how much it's not a new generation Gaia, even if you really want it to be. I compiled some evidence for you to kind of understand why Blazer is not a new generation Gaia. How much, yeah, it's upsetting, but we're going to talk about all of them right now. Let's first of all talk about the name. Why the hell they broke the tradition of at least using the first letter of the TDG trilogy in Gaia? People can say that, oh, geyser is very much synonymous with water, but it's very weird because you are celebrating the TDG trilogy and now it's the TDB trilogy, at least for the new generation. It doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of people say that Ultraman Blazer is semi can be connected to the Ultra Galaxy fight. I can genuinely see that, but here is the thing. Regulus, if you've watched the Destined Crossroads, you would know that Regulus barely appeared in that movie slash spin-off, whatever you want to call it. I think his runtime was around like maybe 10 minutes, barely. So now with at least the ending of the Destined Crossroads pretty much telling us that, oh, the story is going to continue with the Absolutians, now let's add not only Regulus to the story, let's now add a new Ultra. And again, Regulus' shows, both his origin story and his first missions, are not out yet. So now you want not only for us to care about Regulus, but now a new Ultra? It's kind of counterintuitive in my opinion, and also it's really dumb. And Subaraya Productions are a lot of things. Dumb, they're not. Now let's move them to the side. Let's look at actual hard evidence that I can actually tell you why it's not going to be new generation Gaia. Let's talk about the new Ultraman Chronicle series. Some of you may be new, and I get it, and I'm not gatekeeping, don't worry, I would going to explain to you about the Chronicle series. It's pretty much a recap show that sits between the show that currently ended airing to the next season. And all the time it's kind of has a theme, and that theme is recapping the show that just ended and recapping one or multiple shows that are going to be somewhat important to the next season. That entire series went to full effect between Ultraman Rube and Ultraman Taiga with Ultraman The New Generation Chronicle. If you know a little bit about Ultraman Taiga, you would know that Ultraman Taiga is son of Ultraman Taro. But why they're not recapping Taro? Well, it's mainly because that Taro didn't play any effect into the series. Probably the people that knew about what Taiga is going to be, they kind of focused on way more on the Tri-Squad's power set to use other Ultramans, specifically the new generation's attack. So yeah, after Ultraman Taiga was Ultraman Z, the chronicles that was in between Taiga and Z, and they recapped Ultraman Zero's movies and the Ultraman Jid show. Well, Jid and Zero were very important, specifically with Jid appearing in 3 episodes and almost being a mentor to Haruki, while Zed really looked up to Ultraman Zero and actually wanted Zero to be his mentor. And after Zed came Trigger. In between them was the Chronicle Z Heroes Odyssey, mainly focusing on recapping Ultraman Z's story, and Ultraman Tiga's, mainly focusing on the Final Odyssey movie that Trigger takes a lot of influence with it, not only with the 3 Ancient Giants and Dark Tiga. Now the currently running show is Ultraman Decker, but between Trigger and Decker there was Ultraman Chronicle D, recapping both Trigger's story and Dyna's story. And now when Decker ends, we get not only a recap of Decker, but every other new generation hero, without any mention of Ultraman Gaia. Now, to be completely honest, I can close the case and say, okay, goodbye, but maybe some of you won't believe me. So let me show you a couple of more evidence. The new show, Ultraman Blazer, from at least what it seems, it's going to be an anniversary show for the new generation heroes. And it kind of makes sense. First of all, Subaraya Pro absolutely love their anniversaries. They love celebrating something. Because, hey, a celebration is a fun time. We can drink, we can eat some food, that's great. But the new generation era is very important to Subaraya. Not only the new generation, specifically with Ginga, kickstarted Ultraman being on TV every year, and from that moment, specifically since Ginga's release, Ultraman has been airing on TV for 10 years straight. Here is the thing. A lot of people don't know it, Ultraman do be loving going on big old breaks. Specifically, if you really look at it, between Ultraman and Ultra 7 there wasn't any break. But between Ultra 7 and Return of Ultraman there was a break. Yeah, after Return we got Taro, Leo, Ace, and 80 in not that specific order. But after 80 we got a break. Pretty much from the 80s to early to mid 90s with Tiga. Then we got Tiga, Dyna, Gaia, Cosmos, Nexus, Max, and Mebius. And from Mebius to Ginga, there was a break. After looking it up again, actually there was a break between Ultraman Leo and Ultraman 80 for around 5 years, and there was a break between Ultraman Gaia and Ultraman Cosmos for around a year to 2 years, but around that time they did at least air a couple of the episodes of Ultraman Neos. It was almost 10 years of Ultraman not being on TV. They did do the Mega Monster Battle movies, they did do the Zero movies, but they weren't on TV, they weren't actual shows. Ginga was the first season of Ultraman pretty much since Mebius. And from then on, they are consistently airing every year. So yeah, you can see why they would celebrate specifically the new generation. Now to examine the most important part specifically for Bandai and Subaraya is Ultraman Gaia is not that marketable. It's not as gimmickable as Tiga and Dyna are. Here is the thing, you are probably groaning and complaining yet again, oh my god, Ultraman is about gimmicks and it's not about the story and it's just childish. You may be correct, but here is the thing, the toys changed. Back in the day, they sold the vehicles, and they sold the Ultra device, and they sold a kind of nifty little package of, what the defense team is using. And the main thing they were really selling are the vehicles. Now, let's look at, let's say, from Ginga on how much, vehicles they have sold. Ginga, very low budget, so they didn't have enough money to do a defense team. Ginga S, they had a defense team, but they just had their little Nissan car. X was the first time that actually Ultraman really tried to sell the vehicles, and the vehicles sold so bad. And I mean, they were actual, from what I remember, shelf warmers, and from there on, they stopped really doing a defense team for a long time. Orb had a defense team, but mainly in the background. G didn't have a defense team, Group didn't have a defense team, Taiga was an investigation team. And just with Z, we returned doing a defense team. And what did they sold? They sold Samager, Windom, and a new version of King Joe. Okay, let's move to Trigger. Trigger sold the God's Falcon, an homage to the God's Wing from Ultraman Tiga, and the Norsedeus, an homage to the monster Norse from Ultra 7. Okay, let's move on to Ultraman Decker. They sold the God's Falcon again, probably to combine with the God's Hawk. Pretty much a recolor of the God's Falcon, but in red, being a reference, or at least an homage, to Shin Asuka's jet that he used in Ultraman Dyna. And the actual real newest thing that they did that's not, let's say, a jet, that is a slight remolding and recoloring of something that already exists, they sold the Terra Phaser, a complete homage slash reference to the Death Phaser from the Dyna Tiga team up in Ultraman Dyna. Now I'm kind of rambling on and you're probably getting confused. Okay, how that's relate to Ultraman Gaia, and specifically why they're not doing a new generation Gaia. So Gaia was mainly a semi of an homage to the show era. It was a lot about the vehicles. Gaia got two forms. His main form got a permanent upgrade from V1 to V2, and in the final 5 episodes, Gaia slash Gamu got Supreme. Agul did get a V2 upgrade, again very much like Gaia, but just recently he got his own Supreme form. So here's the thing, you can't gimmick Gaia, like at all. You literally need to invent new form for Gaia to actually be gimmickable. Because if you would look at, let's say, Dinah and Tiga, Dinah had Flash, Strong, and Miracle. For Decker, they kept those three forms and they said, okay, let's combine all three forms to make Dynamic. Tiga was genuinely, okay, let's take multi-powered Sky and Glitter, let's add an Eternity on that, and have, in replace I think it was Blast, have Trigger Truth. So now you're understanding why they're not doing a new generation Gaia. I understand Decker added Dynamic type and Trigger, I think, replaced Blast to Trigger Truth, but those were just one form for each. Now you need to add more forms for both new generation Gaia and new generation Agul. Two Ultras that are very much kind of a concept of two forms that an Ultra would have. A watery fast form and a strong kind of earth-based form. So of course they would skip Gaia because, hey, one form is kind of fine. But when you need to add multiple, it's kind of escaping from what Subaraya is doing specifically with Decker and Trigger, and that is keeping specifically a lot of the core element of the series and how the Ultra got its powers to pretty much being the same as the Ultra they are doing a new generation on. And if you would add new forms for Gaia and Agul and take a lot of the vehicles out, this is not new generation Gaia. That's almost like a completely new show. So yeah, like, I understand Subaraya and their decision. I think people kind of need to understand that, yeah, it's upsetting, they're not doing it, but hey, maybe it's going to be better. It's something original maybe. Let's just have fun because, you know, the new generation, how much, yeah, it has its bad points, it still got us, you know, watching an Ultra show pretty much simultaneously casted from Japan and the rest of the world on YouTube. So yeah, like, what you think? Do you still believe that Blaza is somehow connected to new generation Gaia? Comment below, let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe to my channel and have a great rest of your day.